Welcome to All Saints Church, Hessle. I am Gabriel, and from my window I can see so much of interest. Would you like me to tell you about the church? First of all, let me introduce you to some of the many saints who live here. Here is Michael. And this is Mary, the mother of Jesus. Saint Agnes is not such a well-known saint. Many of us have not been given names. Maybe you can think of some suitable names for us. Some of us are feeling rather old and cranky. I am one of the youngest, and I have been here over 100 years. You need to know a little of the history of the church before we look at the ornaments inside it. There was a church here over 1,000 years ago. The first church was made of wood and was here before the Normans came. And this is the church that was mentioned in the Domesday Book. The township of Hessle, near the River Humber, dates from Anglo-Saxon times. The original settlement grew up between the woods that were later called Hesslewood and the salt marshes, which then stretched eastward to the River Hull. The Anglians named it Hoselia, that is, the hazel grove or meadow. The Normans called it Hayes. The Domesday Book was written over 900 years ago. It is an account of all the important buildings and pieces of land in the kingdom when William the Conqueror was king in 1085. Anyway, you can see how important the church was here at that time. It was not only the church for the Hessle district, but it ministered to the people in all the small settlements round about. One of these settlements became a new town about 5 miles away from Hessle. Can you guess its name? Hull. You were right. The parish of Hessle in medieval times comprised the township proper and the lands between Hessle Creek and the River Hull. The Church of All Saints Hessle served as the parish church of a typical East Yorkshire village, and also for nearly 4 centuries as mother church to the magnificent chapel of the Holy Trinity in Hull. Until the year 1661, when Holy Trinity became an independent parish, most of the old town of Hull was subject ecclesiastically to the Vicar of Hessle.
And with the Holy Spirit.
Just as we have baptisms, confirmations, weddings and funerals in our church today, the people in the past were also christened, confirmed, married and buried at this church. Until 1301, all the dead were brought from Hull as well as Hessle to be buried here. There wasn't a road. How do you think they managed this journey? The river helped, but it was not always an easy journey. In fact, there were several disasters. On one occasion, as the funeral party were walking along the banks of the river, they were all swept into the Humber by a sudden storm. When you think about Hessle, you think of shops, cafes, schools, the health centre, the Humber Bridge, and the library. We have lots of meeting places. Can you remember the library opening? Some of you can remember the Humber Bridge being constructed, but even the oldest person cannot remember the first stone church being built. This stonework is from the original building, which was built in the reign of King Stephen. These chalk coffins are older than the stone building and belong to Christians who worshipped in the wooden church. The first stone building was much smaller than the church is today, and no one knows exactly what it looked like, but we do know there wasn't a spire. This was built in the 15th century. The spire was used as a landmark by sailors on the River Humber. Have you ever been up the stairs inside the spire? Some people are nervous of the dark and the twisting, narrow, uneven steps, but it is a good place to view the bells. Listen, they're just going to chime. Over the centuries, the small church was extended, and it's now very much bigger than it was at first. I will show you my favourite places. This is the baptistry. I like to see the new members of the church being given their Christian names. Have you been baptised? Was it in this church? Can you remember it happening? This part is called the nave. The congregation sits here when there is a service. They face the altar and the chancel. Look at the beautiful east window. It shows Jesus and a great number of saints. This is very appropriate because the church is called All Saints' Church. Next you will see our two small chapels. The one with the organ in it is the St. Barnabas or Memorial Chapel. The other one is called the Lady Chapel. The church building is constantly changing. In recent years we have had renovation work on the bells and the organ. Why not look around the church? Remember to find me. I shall be very pleased to see you. And on your way out, look at the gargoyles. They might remind you of some of your friends.